It was snowing softly, settling in fluffy flakes on the trees. 3 in Utah can be frosty, but not in Salt Lake City. Here, the thermometer rarely dips below -5, but it snows every winter, even if it doesn't last long. At 6 o'clock in the evening, a car pulled up to the house. To be honest, today I wasn't expecting anyone and wanted to rest a little, be lazy, watch something on the idiot box, and drink beer. The guests rolled up the Valley City side of my open parking lot behind the house and turned off the engine. I looked out the kitchen window, a Chevy Silverado. So my father-in-law had arrived. Actually, ex-father-in-law. I turned on the coffee maker and went to greet the visitor, wondering what he needed from me on this winter evening. I even wondered if something was wrong with Doris. Maybe she was sick. No, she wasn't. It was Doris herself. Doris Day Adrian, my ex. Shit, it's been 6 months. Opening the door and seeing my Doris? Fuck! My what? It hasn't been 6 months, but still it was good to see her, honestly. We hugged and I helped her take off her coat, shaking off the snow. Should I say I was burningly curious about the purpose of her visit? No, I can't say that. She came to visit, thank you. What's the big deal? Dory didn't like coffee. It ruined the color of her teeth. And she's my... God damn it! Not again. Oh, come on, she's not me anymore. Anyway, Doris is an orthopedic dentist, and she knows how to take care of my teeth better than anyone I know. I poured orange juice into a glass and set it on the living room table. Then I added plates of croissants and vanilla donuts. Day looked around the living room and probably noticed that nothing had changed since she'd left. She settled into her chair at the table and sat watching me fuss and smiling. We chatted about the weather, about my parents' health, about her health, and about many other nothing things. And I kept waiting for her to get to the purpose of her visit. She didn't come to inquire about my health. To tell you the truth, after she left, I kept thinking she'd try to get back at me, maybe even shoot me or something. But today, if that's what she wanted, she would have killed me as soon as I opened the door. No, she didn't. She sat there and smiled genuinely, looking me in the face. No aggression whatsoever. I know how to tell the difference. Well, let's spend some time enjoying each other's company. We've been married almost 5 years. It's been a good life, I can't complain. We've had our moments. But show me a family that doesn't have them? We had this house. It was a nice house, I'd say. Brick open parking lot in the backyard. It keeps you cool in the summer heat and warm in the short winter. It has 2 bedrooms in the attic, a spacious living room, and a large basement with a small gym. It's a 1/4 of an acre, but we weren't going to plant maize. It was a comfortable place to live, to settle in, and to have guests over. We lived in it, loved it, and enjoyed it. This house is a company house. It belongs to the company, and we lived in it without caring about the rent at all. I have a contract, and if I work for the company for 20 years, I automatically own the house. In addition, as a veteran who has been in a hot spot and was wounded, I pay half of the utilities. The state adds the rest. Last year, I changed the soft roof to a metal roof and painted the roof a dark, pale color, practical and beautiful. The old one looked quite unpresentable, and this year I plan to plaster the plinth and paint it beige. But it turned out the way it did. Doris put the glass on the table and sighed. You're probably wondering why I'm here. Dory, why did you do that? I'm curious about what you came to see me about, but you didn't come here. I'm glad you're here, honestly. You know, I dated Noah Foster. I gasped. Dory, are you crazy? He's a married man and he's 10 years older than you. Doris got mad. Harris, he and I just happened to meet and talk. There's no need to get your hopes up. He told me everything. I'm sorry, Dory. I was thinking. I was embarrassed. You thought I was a whore, did you? Dory looked me in the eye with defiance. Well, I'm sorry, Dor. I really blurted out the wrong thing. So what did you talk to my boss about? The ex leaned back in her chair and looked at me sadly for a while. He told me the whole story, she continued, and explained that you had to do it the way you did. The way you did. You had to kill him in the line of duty. There was a command investigation. The board reviewed the testimony of the passengers and the stewardess. They reviewed the video footage and concluded that you had to use a weapon. Noah told me everything. And that's why I forgive you. I grinned sadly. What's so funny? Doris got mad. Well, if you forgive me, then Noah didn't tell you everything. And everything started with, It all started with an ordinary magnetic key, the blue keychain key Doris had on her necklace. When I asked what this beautiful key was, she was a little embarrassed and told me a story about a new lock on the entrance to the wing where the Salt Dental Clinic was located. It was a lie. Because I stopped by their hospital on 1000 North Street yesterday, I wanted to sit with my wife at a coffee shop, have lunch, and talk about my new assignment. It'll probably mean I'll have to be out of the house a little more, but it'll be a raise of almost $25,000. Annualized, of course. At the time, your humble servant's annual salary was $72,000, plus an Army disability pension of $32,000. All right, 31,800 greenbacks. I didn't lie that much. Maybe 100 pounds isn't that much. But me and my family now have lifetime health insurance, lifetime service in a military commissary that sells the same stuff as regular stores, but at 50% off. Oh yeah, I almost forgot. And my wife and I also get 50% off gas at the military, A3C. Oh, no. I wasn't a badass Navy SEAL or a thug paratrooper. In Iraq, I had a quiet, humble profession as a sniper intelligence officer. That's where I got hit by a mortar shell near An-Najaf. I was lucky to survive, and now I only have a slight limp on my left leg, but I can boast a Congressional Medal of Honor. Well, that's beside the point. No, it's not. Yes, it is. I came home from the war in 10. I was 25 at the time. A month later, I met Doris Day, a quiet, pretty girl who had just finished her dental training after medical school, at a charity event for veterans. Her father, a sports doctor, had convinced her to choose this profession. She agreed and did not miss out. I also had the opportunity to get a higher education, but I somehow took it too far. So I had Salt Lake High School and Sergeant Sniper School in the Army under my belt. So we started dating. I don't know why, but she was interested in me. At least that's what she said. In August 2000, Doris, in her white wedding dress, put my wedding ring on her finger. So, when I showed up at the clinic to see my Doris, she wasn't there. She'd gone to lunch. Nobody knew where she was going. The door to the wing entrance had no lock at all. Well, what do you suggest I do about it? What should I do? There was no point in asking my wife directly about her lies. I wanted the truth, not another lie to explain the first. So I pretended that everything was all right. But vague suspicions began to eat away at my soul. Analyzing our family and intimate relations lately, I realized several interesting things. First, our sex life has been in a coma for the past month. Doris was terribly tired at work, she had a headache, she wasn't in the mood, and she'd gotten some kind of thrush. And secondly, this is our new neighbor, Cody Goodman. He's a real nice guy, former Navy SEAL. Hi, that's what he said about himself. Cody rented a little house with a garage across the street from us. And in July, I don't remember what date, he went around to the neighbors wanting to get to know his new surroundings. He came to us. He introduced himself, stood on the porch, and when Dory invited him into the house for a cup of coffee, he declined and left. During our brief contact, Cody seemed completely calm and even relaxed. The only thing was that he kept twirling his keychain in his left hand, going over and rubbing the bunch. It gave away his carefully concealed excitement and uncertainty. It was then that I saw a similar blue-colored magnetic key. I suspected my wife of infidelity. It was bad. It was disgusting. But I couldn't do anything about my suspicions. They were nestled comfortably in my head, and they weren't going anywhere. I had to do something. The next Saturday, Doris was going shopping, but her Audi's left rear tire was dead for some reason. I offered her my GMC for shopping, and she happily agreed. We exchanged keys. When Doris left, I quickly pumped up the flat tire and raced to the mall. I knew there was a shop that made copies of keys, including magnetic keys. So I had a copy of the strange key in my hands. There was only one thing left to check. When I got home, I called my wife and asked her, "Darling, when can I expect you?" "Not till tonight, Harris." I ran into Sandra. You remember her? She invited me over. So, not till tonight. Don't miss me. I wasn't going to miss you. I had some errands to run. Taking the new key, I crossed the road and knocked on our new neighbor's door. Then I knocked harder. No one was home. Well, it was the moment of truth. I put the new key in the lockbox, and it chimed, clicked, and the door opened. The world collapsed. All this I was now telling Doris as a curious episode in my life. Bloody hell, Harris, you sly serpent. I must have looked like a fool on that trip. Jesus, Dory. Why, like? You were a fool in love. You've been so careless about your affair, I can't believe it. But you know, there's more to it than that. Let me make some calls, okay? Dor was surprised, but she nodded in agreement. Then I dialed the chief's home number. Noah, I'm sorry to bother you. It's okay, Harris. What did you want with the old man? Noah, please tell me if the Tristan Wright case is still classified or if it's been declassified. I'll find out. And I'll call you back. All we have to do is wait a little longer. What does this have to do with Tristan? Dory was worried. Let's wait. A couple minutes later, Noah called back. Harris, the case has been declassified. Why would you do that? Doris is here to see me and I want to fill her in on the details. You know, she met with me once and we talked about the story, but I didn't give her the details. Thanks, Noah, you helped me out. I turned to Dory. Well, darling, you're ready to hear a sad story, only it's a little boring. It's about you and me, Dor said. It's about you and me and Cody Goodman and Tristan Wright. Doris squinted warily. Well, tell me about it, and I did. The real name of our late loving neighbor was not Cody. His name is Tristan Wright, and he's not a paratrooper. He wasn't even in the army. He's a lone gunman. Last time, 8 years ago, he robbed a cash truck from Phoenix to Kansas City. The boys were carrying 450 pounds of dilapidated bills. The collection was handled by a company called Loomis, and they screwed up. Worn-out money is carried in a regular airplane, only in a special compartment. They're escorted by 2 collectors. Tristan took a ticket on this plane and carried a parachute bag into the cabin. No one asked him anything about his somewhat odd carry-on. Backpack. The metal detector detected nothing. On the flight to Missouri, Tristan stabbed 2 armored car collectors. Not because they threatened him or tried to stop him. No. The guys would just get behind him while he was controlling the pilots. Just like that. He took a plastic knife and stuck it in each of them, just to keep them out of the way. One in the throat, one in the eye. Armed with the pistols of the dead collectors, he very competently gave instructions to the pilots and slightly corrected the course of the plane. Then he put on a parachute, took 4 collection bags, strapped them to a special harness, and parachuted out over the Eagle Bluffs conservation area. In all, he took nearly $3 million, and he was never found. 4,500 acres of old-growth forest, where the fuck was he to be found? Anyway, he's gone. He's probably got a safe house out there somewhere, probably with a car, or he walked, asshole. Now, I guess the poor guy must have gotten a little worn out after 8 years. He enjoyed robbing and decided to do it again. What he didn't count on is that we have federal facial recognition now, heh. And then there's his marvelous robotic portrait with 5 witnesses. He was meticulous in his preparation. He needed to know when I was flying into Missouri, where we have 2 federal banks, so he controlled me through you. He found out that the transportation of money from Salt Lake was handled by a company in which I was the one responsible for delivering bags of money, airport to airport. He needed to know the day and time of my flight, and there, from the terminal schedule, he could easily determine the flight number. Doris sat there with her mouth open, and I went on. You know, Dory, when he was arrested, I asked him, did you have to ruin my marriage over such trivial information? I mean, he could have gotten it some other way. He said, it's more interesting that way. X sat there with a pained look. She sighed convulsively. He did say that. I interrupted. I know what he told you. He was being led by the FBI, and there were bugs and cameras all over the apartment. They showed me the porno movies they made of you. God, Dory moaned. They saw everything. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Then she jumped up. You knew in advance that Cody was lying to me and did nothing? How could you? Dor, darling, listen to me. When I found out whose key you had, I got a call that night from the chief's office. There were 3 FBI's sitting there, and they got me. They asked me what I was doing at the intruder's door. I explained. They didn't believe me. That's what they do. That's their job. But eventually, I managed to convince them I wasn't involved in the robbery. That's when they told me all this. I looked at Day with pity. The thing is, at that point, everything had already happened. The marriage had broken down and couldn't be repaired. You had become a stranger. I was earnestly asked to withhold information, not to be hysterical and to delay the divorce, which I did. At my request, they showed me some clips of you and Cody starring. I know he promised to marry you and take you to the Philippines, but he lied about everything, Dory. Everything he told you was a lie. There was a couple of million or two at stake, and he went for it through mangled fortunes and dead bodies. So you got off easy. He could have killed you in cold blood as an unwanted witness. So, we left International Airport at 4 and had to arrive at Wheeler Harbor by 6:30. When he got up from his seat in the cabin, the whole group realized that it had begun. I got up to stop him too, because access to the tail of the plane during transportation of valuables is forbidden. And this was being announced over the selector? Tristan stopped in front of me and pulled out a plastic dagger and tried to stab me. He didn't know the cabin was packed with FBI agents. 8 men, professional wolfhounds. He was shot in the shoulder. Shot in the shoulder is an understatement. Expansive bullet severed his joint. I didn't even have to do anything. Doris put her hands over her face. She loved the geezer, though, and it was hard for her to imagine him suffering. I continued. He was handcuffed and given first aid. I asked permission to sit next to him and talk to him, and I was allowed to. That's when he told me that he fucked you for sport. He also told me he didn't mean to kill me. He said we 2 warriors could have worked it out. It's a pity, he said, that we were interrupted. I grinned. Warriors. You see, he wanted to make a deal with me, having my wife. He was never in the service. Bastard. Harris, you're telling scary stories, Dor said in a trembling voice. It's like I'm in another life. I never thought it could be like this. You can't do that to a man. You can't do that to a woman. I mean, I loved him. Okay, now tell me how you killed him. Dory, this is hard. I want the satisfaction of knowing he's dead. Oh my God, what am I saying? Harris, you just destroyed me. Okay, she breathed in and out quickly to calm herself down. Talk to me. I'm listening. I did. He asked to go to the bathroom, and I volunteered to go with him. Where would he go from the airplane, right? So, He sat down on the toilet seat, and I put my spare Browning revolver in his lap. Last argument. I bought it offhand, and it's not registered anywhere. I always carried it in a holster on my shin. That day I just slipped it behind the cuff of my sock. I looked sternly at Dory and asked, Dor, do you realize that I'm telling you now about my crime? And if you go to turn me into the police, I'll recant everything and present it as your fiction. She wiped her tears. Harrison, I swear on my life. I swear on my mother's health that I won't hurt you. Okay. I put my spare revolver in his lap. He looked at me with a smirk and said, Clever, smart, but I won't take it. Then I whispered to him, Right, I'm going to kill you anyway, one way or the other. He whispered, too, All right, have it your way. He grabbed a revolver and pointed it at me. But he was right-handed, and he held it with his left hand. I had time to back up behind the bulkhead. Anyway, he fired 2 shots through the open latrine door, but he missed. I didn't. 3 bullets, 2 in the torso and 1 in the head. Harry, he could have killed you. Oh my God, you're crazy. Giving a gun to a criminal. What were you thinking? You know, Dor. At that moment, I thought I had nothing to live for. Your betrayal had failed me. I lived, ate, slept, worked, but I did it all like a zombie. Life crashed and became meaningless. Dor jumped up and rushed over to me, holding out her arms. Harry, my poor Harry. I pulled away, pushing her embrace away. Don't, Dor. I'm not poor at all. I'm a fool. I forgot about you. I didn't realize how much you were suffering. Look, darling, it's all in the past. Don't worry so much. It's good that it happened now. We're young, childless, and still able to find our soulmate in this world. We sat in silence, staring at the tabletop between us. I remembered how I had announced the news to my wife. I had returned from a flight late that night. The alarm clock in the bedroom read 2:14, as I remember now. I woke my wife up. Doris, wake up. We need to talk. Are you crazy, Harry? I'm asleep. I have to get up early tomorrow. Darling, this can't wait. My wife went to the bathroom, yawning and scratching, came back, sat on the bed. So, darling, what's so super important you want to tell me? Dor, I know about you and Cody. Doris was not discouraged. She gave a heavy, sad sigh and said, Well, you would have found out someday anyway. Harry, I'm going to divorce you. I've fallen in love with someone else and I'm leaving you. I'm sorry. No, Dory, you can't go to him, because I killed him. How? The wife gasped. With a gun, 3 non-life-threatening wounds. And that's when Dor lost consciousness. I didn't do anything. I felt my wife, she's breathing, she's got a pulse, so it's no big deal. I went to the second bedroom, locked myself in there and fell asleep without undressing or making the bed. In the morning, I got up late, about 10 o'clock. Doris had already left. A lot of her things were gone, and I assumed that she had gone to her parents' house and from there to work. By the evening of the next day, I had finished dividing up our money. I divided everything fairly, in half. Our salaries were about the same. I have a little more, so 50-50, it's conscience. 3 days later, her parents, Jacques and Misty Day, arrived. They're great guys, and I didn't want to upset them at all. I put a bottle of red wine on the table, some delicacies, and a jug of apricot juice. In short, I tried to be as hospitable as possible. Finally, they came to the main event. Jacques entered. "Harris," he began, "our daughter says she's left you, that she can't live with you, that she hates you, but she won't tell us what happened. Maybe you can fill us in. Did you cheat on her, or did you hit her, or insulted her in some way?" "Dad," I replied, "I didn't do any of those things." "Well, thank God," Misty exclaimed, "so it can still be fixed. She'll get over it and come back to you." "No, Mom, she's not coming back to me. My lawyer's already busy drawing up the divorce agreement." Misty gasped, flailed her arms. "Oh my God, what the hell happened to you guys?" "I shot her lover. She's going through a lot. Don't let her get discouraged. Don't let her get discouraged." Jacques is worried. "Harris, why did you do it? You'll go to jail." "No, Jacques, they won't. It was done clean." And the father-in-law and mother-in-law drove off in a complete state of confusion. Doris finally died. After I talked to Noah, I felt strange, like I'd lost something important and precious. And after what you told me, I'm in a state of limbo. Our roles have reversed. Now you're the good guy and I'm the bad guy. And I don't know what to do. I shrugged. "Dor, you don't have to do anything special. Just move on with your life. Find yourself a good man, get married, have kids, move up the career ladder. It's that simple." And then she came out. "Harris, let's start over." "What do you mean?" I was surprised. "Let's start dating. Become friends." I interrupted. "Dory, we're not enemies as it is." "No, we need to become friends with benefits. Do you understand? Maybe we'll then realize the need to become husband and wife again. I'm sorry, Dor, but I'm not ready to remarry, so no. The ex is in a hurry." "Wait, Harry, don't be in a hurry. Remember, we were good together." "Well, think about it." "I've already thought about it, darling. Now think about it. Why would you want a husband you don't love, and who will cheat on you all your life?" Doris froze in shock. But why? Why what? Why did you decide that you would be an unloved husband?" I just shrugged. I'm not going to lecture her about my feelings. It's not about her. It's that I'm going to think that. "And why would you cheat on me for the rest of my life? Would you want to hurt me as much as I hurt you?" "No, I don't want to hurt you. I'm going to cheat on you. Probably because I don't feel obligated to be faithful to you." We were silent for a while, and then Doris got up to leave. "Walk me out, darling." She put on her coat, hugged me, and said goodbye. "I'll think about what you said. I'll try to find the strength to accept your cheating, and I'll try to find my way to your heart." And she left. I didn't tell her I was in a close relationship with my widowed neighbor. I mean, hell, Doris knows what she's up to, right? And Ruby has 2 kids, and she's in dire financial straits. She's struggling, pulling her boys through. And if I'm not going to marry her yet, I'm not going to leave her to her fate. There's a lot I'd like to do for her, and I gotta tell you, Ruby is 10 points ahead of my ex-wife in bed. She's so, let Doris think all she wants. But it's not gonna get us anywhere.